CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
There are some ragas which cannot be confined within the limitations of an arohana avarohana, and sometimes we see that there are also many phrases incorporated into it in terms of its aesthetic beauty being enhanced, which are not actually a part of the arohana avarohana itself, but then which are permissible by the raga. To this category, I would say, is one of the important ragams, Nattakuraji, which is not only multifaceted, but it's also, I would say, multidimensional in the sense that there are also many versions of the arohana avarohana itself which have come into vogue. Thus, we could say that it is a Lakshya-oriented ragam, and the structural prescription of this ragam comes out more in the process of the performance only. Looking back at the history of Nattakuraji, we see that there is no reference to this ragam in the works like Sangeetha Makaranda or Sangeetha Ratnakara, and it is only in the Sangeetha Saramrita that we see a concrete reference to this ragam. Sangeetha Saramrita is a work of Tulaja, and here it is referred to as a Janya of the Kambodi Mela. This work we know was written around 1735 AD. We also see that there is a Kriti of Pallavi Gopala Iyer in this particular ragam Nattakuraji. So that also gives us a reference to the fact that this ragam was vogue in the pre-Trinity time itself. Now, though it has been assigned to be a Janya of the Kambodi Mela earlier, today we regard Nattakuraji as a Janya of the 28th Mela Harikambodi, and the common arohana avarohana that we sing for this particular ragam is Sari ga ma ni da ni pa da ni sa sa ni da ma ga ma pa ga ri sa. It's an extremely Vakara raga, so I'll repeat once again for you to listen closely. Sari ga ma ni da ni pa da ni sa sa ni da ma ga ma pa ga ri sa. So in this version that I sang, you would have seen that the pa was incorporated, panchama, that is, was incorporated both in the arohana and avarohana. Sari ga ma ni da ni pa da ni sa sa ni da ma ga ma pa ga ri sa. But there is also another mention of the version of this ragam without the panchama, like Sari ga ma da ni sa sa ni da ma ga sa. In fact, the Sangraha Chudamani of Govinda, which is was written in the 19th century, makes a mention of this particular kind of an arohana avarohana where the panchama is totally varjya. So these two are some of the versions of that arohana avarohana that I was talking about. Nattakuraji by itself is a very Rakti ragam and hence actually offers scope for elaborate treatment. Thus we see that there are quite a few compositions in this ragam, as well as it is taken up by many musicians to render ragam tanam pallavi, because the aspects of tanam and other things blossom very well in this ragam. Again, we could say that Nattakuraji is one of the ragas which proves the inadequacies of defining a ragam through the arohana avarohana. So just by running the scale, like unlike other ragams, like for example if you take a Chalanata or a Rasika Priya or Hemavati, where going up and down, maneuvering up and down the scale actually gives the ragas swarupa to some extent. But here, just by doing Sari ga ma ni da ni pa da ni sa ni da ba ga ma pa ga ri sa ni da ni sari ga ma, here I'm technically very much correct in terms of using the arohana avarohana very well, but then at no point could you, I suppose, get a feel of the Nattakuraji at all, because it was just about the notes and scales moving up and down. So here it is very important to see how the phrases actually combine to define the raga. And in the Chaturdandi Prakashika, we see that there is a sloka in the appendix which says, Pari Varjya Avarohatu Rago Natakurunjika Shajjagraha Samyukta Gayate Lakshya Vedibihi. Here the word Gayate Lakshya Vedibihi has got an importance in the sense that probably they are trying to indicate that though we are trying to define the Arona Varana, the compositions as well as when it is only in the process of performance that the ragam comes out in its full proper form. And in this ragam, of course, though as I mentioned there are two versions, so this also implies that there is freedom for the performer in terms of whether he wants to use the Panchama as part of the Arona while singing the ragam, or he may even abstain from using the Panchama. Both are regarded as correct as such. And all swaras except the Ri are Jiva swaras. The Ri interestingly occurs in conjunction mostly with the Sajja. Like for example, the Ni Sa Ri Sa or Ga Ma Pa Ga Ri Sa. To look more explicitly into the contour of the ragam, one of the best examples is the Nattakuraji Varnam Chalamela Jese, where you see that in the Chittaswaram, Ma Ma Ga Sa. First itself in the opening, if I want to draw our attention, it starts like Chalame Magasa. It starts off as Magasa. Though I said that Gama Pagarisa was one way of singing, here that has been avoided, the Ri has been avoided, and directly Magasa has been used as the opening phrase. We'll look into some more swaras here, like Ma Ma Ga Sa Ni Da Ni Sa Ri Ri Sa Ni Da Pa Da Ni Sa Ni Da Ma Ni Da Ni Sa Da Ni Sa Ri Ni Sa Ri Ga Ma Ga Sa Ri Ga Ma Ni Da Ma Ga Ma Ni Da Ni Sa Ri Ga Ma Sa Ni Da Ma. So again another phrase. Rigamasa, which you did not find in the Arona here, that adds beauty to this ragam. Another example to show the usage of the pa in the charanam. Nida pada nida baga ma pagarisa. Nida pada nida baga ma pagarisa. So how the pa has been interwoven into the raga's contour is also shown beautifully in this varnam. Now, what are the other compositions which are available in this ragam? We see that there is a beautiful varnam of Papanasam Sivan. Swami Nanundanadimai Endre Ulagamellam Adiyume Swami Nanundanadimai. This is a Padavarnam. And you see that this is very popularly rendered actually as part of the dance performance. You see that this Varnam takes a very important place there. Then compositions of Tyagaraja, Manasu Vishaya, and then Kuvalaya Dalanayana, which goes like Kuvalaya Dalanayana Brovave, or a composition of Swati Tirunal, Mama Sada Varade Mahisha Sura Sudani Amba Mama Sada Varade. Of course, popular composition of Dikshadhar on Budhan. Budhamashayami Satatam Suravinutam. Now, all these compositions almost started on the Purvanga portion and went to the Mandrasthai to establish the Ragam fully. One exception we could find here is Uthagade Venkatakavi's composition, which starts on the Tara Shadja like Palvadiyo Mogam Ninaidu Ninaidanullam Paravasamigavagade. Now, even in this composition of Pallavi Gopala Iyer I was mentioning in the pre-Trinity time. He's composed Needu Murtini, one composition, which actually is very interesting, where you see that it starts on the Tara Shadja, then it goes to the Tarasthai areas, the swaras are explored. The Anupallavi and even the Charan, we see most part of it, the whole composition actually hovers around the Tarasthai. This is quite in contrast to the composition of the Trinity time, and you see especially the composition of Dikshidhar, then Tyagarajar and others, where you see that the composition actually has its base in the Purvanga of the Madhyasthai and the Mandrasthai together actually give that foundation or base, and after that the composition gets developed. I'll just render one line of this particular composition of Pallavi Gopala Iyer to explain further as to what I mean by he started off on the Tarasthai like Needu Murtini Kanukoni Nemmatini Sevirchi Nenu Danyudeitini Needu Murtini Kanukoni Nemmatini Sevirchi Nenu Danyudeitini. Here there is also a Chittaswaram, which gives a more explicit account of the phrases that have been used by the composer. Sari sa sa ni da ni sa ni ni da ma 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 ga sa sa ri sa ni sa ma ma ga ma ni da ni sa ri ga ma ri sa ni da ba da ni sa ni da ba ga ba pa ga ri sa ma ga ma ni da ni Murtini, where you also saw that Sari Gama Risa. So like this we see that there are many such phrases which are a part of the ragam, but which actually do not get to be defined by the Arona Arana. So here this is again as I mentioned earlier, Nattakuraji is a very beautiful ragam, a Vakra ragam actually. But again, the Vakratam is not just about what is contained within the Arona. There are many more phrases because of the fact that there are multiple versions of the Arona itself. We see that these compositions actually explore the multi-dimensions of the ragam, and Vagyakaras have also used their imagination to give actually new dimensions to the ragam Nattakuraji. Of course, in the domain of kacheris, we see that in the Manodharma aspects also, artists have given vent to their imagination and brought out fresh and new vistas of Nattakuraji.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.